Hello there and welcome to another Speedy Clark production. Hope you are all well. Okay, so today's film is going to be a little bit of an update on health and what's going to be going on for the rest of 2018, because we are now on 2nd of December 2018. Remember, eat, drink, write, repeat. Coffee. Okay. So for those of you who may or may not know or may remember, I had a considerable length of time off the bike and a few weeks off work and all other activities which I do and partake in. Pretty much from the beginning of August till mid-September, because of not feeling well, contracting some weird and wonderful virus that the doctors couldn't get to the bottom of, and it was basically blood test upon blood test, week after week after week. So I've had a number of follow-ups, and despite going back to work and starting back in training, everything's been quite delicate, progressive, and there are still some underlying issues which I don't really disclose that much, but we will today. And this is to give you people the benefit of what to do and what not to do when you're coming back from a long bout of illness, whether it's sport, whether it's work, or just getting back into a standardized lifestyle. So I need to be a bit careful here because of the content and the information on these letters. So I've got some letters here. Need to be careful because I've got a lot of personal details on them, but I will read out some of the information. So this is information from a follow-up visit that I had in October with the infectious diseases clinic. Not that I have an infectious disease, but that's the title of the clinic which I was referred to because I had a number of different things going on. And this is basically the professor and the specialist that was dealing with me and their response back to my doctor, and also what's been going on with me. So basically, I won't be looking at the camera, but I'll read this out to you. So basically it specifies, many thanks for referring this 40-year-old man, yes I'm 40, middle-aged now, middle-age crisis and all that, who lives with his wife and 6-year-old daughter. He does not smoke nor drink, he has no allergies and no medication. He works as a hygiene. I won't go into the full details, but you know, it's got my job description there. I work for a food company, and I'm also part of a cycling team, as you know, Team Blanco Enduro, charity cycling team, where we set world records and do big charity endurance events and raise money for various charities. He races bikes at a high level, recently set a world record as part of a relay team, which was the John O'Groats to Land's End relay record. Again, look in the description for this film and you can see the film where myself and the 3 other individuals and the support crew team where we set the world record, okay, the relay record for John O'Groats to Land's End in the fastest possible time on UCI legal standard dropped handlebar road bikes, so check that out. His only past history, so this is my medical history, is Wolff-Parkinson-White syndrome. I have Wolff-Parkinson-White syndrome. Again, check out the description. I'll put a link to one of the films where I explain what Wolff-Parkinson-White syndrome is. I basically have an issue with my heart, an extra chamber that can cause high-end palpitations and pass out. And in rare cases, it can cause sudden death, although, you know, don't think, wow. Again, the film in the description and the link will tell you about that. The level that I have cannot be fixed, so I just live with it. And to be honest, I haven't really had that many issues, so I don't class it as a big problem, so I don't really talk about it. I was diagnosed with Wilson-Parkinson-White syndrome in 2005 when I had tachycardia and passed out and sent to hospital. I was seen by the cardiologist in the local place where I'm from. Again, I won't disclose that. And it was agreed that, you know, I would just kind of deal with it and get on with it. Mr. Clark reports that he does regularly get tired towards the end of the year and attributes this to fatigue towards the end of the racing season, because it is a tough season. I work full time, I race to a high level and race consistently. Also have wife and daughter, so balance and everything, you know, it does take its toll on some occasions. He thinks that he may have had fatigue and other symptoms, including memory changes and slurred speech from around March this year. So I have had some memory problems, which has been very bizarre, and I can't explain it. I know, you know, when you're exceptionally busy, it's easy to be forgetful, but these have been weird memory issues where I'm forgetting things or misunderstanding things that I really shouldn't. I also have had occasions where I've had slurred speech as well, which has been basically I've had that since about March this year. In June of this year we set the world record, and I had a couple of weeks off after setting the record before restarting and cracking on with the rest of the season. However, subsequently Mr. Clark did not perform as expected. So when I came back, I don't know, I just didn't seem to be on it. I struggled. So subsequently did not perform as expected and was quite unwell during his last race on the 13th of July, which was the National 100-mile time trial. I was off the pace from the minute I started. And although I didn't do a disgraceful time, I was about 30 to 35 minutes over the 100 miles off where I would expect to be for the training and the power output that I was able to produce and deliver for the record attempt. So that wasn't good. And I was also physically sick with only 20 miles left. So 80 miles into the race, I was physically sick. My nutrition was fine, but I just didn't feel good. I felt unwell, tired, unable to focus. I seemed to have light sensitivity as well, and I also developed rashes in the seams of where my cycling suit would be. Sore throat, like tonsillitis. I went to the emergency department locally where I am. At this point, my C-reactive protein was 37, and the impression was that I had a viral infection. My symptoms continued and I was off work for around 5 weeks. I have now started to feel better and obviously coming back into training in October. I returned to work in September, mid-September. And then just started riding my bike 2 weeks after that, so like beginning of October. I did have a course of penicillin following a positive ASOT, and subsequently I had some stomach issues and toiletry issues with that as well. My fatigue is gradually improving. I do still sometimes use the wrong words and slur my speech, and I have to stop and correct myself. So yeah. So upon examination, so my last examination, it specifies that I looked well with no, I can't even read this word, lymphadenopathy and normal conjunctivae. I think that's how you say it, I don't know. Heart sounds were normal and chest was clear. He was slightly tender on his right flank, but no abnormalities palpable. I did have a macular blanching rash over my anterior chest and lateral abdominal walls, so I had that. but I do seem to get rashes from time to time. So my blood tests have also, and my ASOT have returned to normal, and the Dr. Chapman agreed that I had post-infective syndrome. Sorry, I'm just kind of editing the words as I go because some of the stuff I can't talk about. But I did have post-infective syndrome, most likely triggered by streptococcal infections. I also had the streptococcal infection in July. I've been told that I'll make a full recovery, which is good, but sometimes this can take 12 to 15 months, which is not so good for post-infective syndrome to be resolved. But they did state, because of the improvements I'd made and with me being quite fit and healthy, they believe it'll be much shorter in my case. We discussed the concept of pacing, that is doing roughly the same amount of activity per day. I advised him to discuss his training regime with his trainer. As regards to work, he's now back to his usual hours of work, but recognises that he needs to control his accessibility to work issues out of hours and rest. So yeah, just need to be careful basically. I did have repeat basic bloods today, which were all fine because I've already had the results back from that. So again, just covering up some stuff. I've got another letter here. So this is the short version, and this is the version that I give to, I gave a copy to my employer, and also need to use it in some other areas that I'm associated with and working, just to make people aware. So this basically is a summary without all the detail that I didn't fully disclose in the other document, saying, I'm writing to inform you that Mr. Clark has been under my care for acute medical problem. I anticipate he will make a full recovery from this, but this may take a number of months. In the meantime, I would be grateful if you could take this into consideration when planning his work activities, his training, his regimes, but however he's able to return back to everything fully, so that's good. I've encouraged him not to overdo things and just to monitor himself. Again, I've just kind of edited a little bit of that. And they've basically said I would be happy to supply further medical information subject to my signed consent, which is absolutely fine because I'm talking about it on film, so I've got no issues with that whatsoever. So my training, I started back training, so we're just going to show you here because I've got Training Peaks open, so apologies if I'm going up my nose at a bad angle. So this is Training Peaks, yeah? So September 24th, 25th, 26th, 27th, 28th, 29th, I was on Spain on a family holiday here. Okay. And then I returned back to training on the 30th of September. So as this is your first session, Tim, please keep the intensity down. So this is the first session, please keep the intensity down. 216 watts, ceiling man, or I'll boot your arse. So that's basically coach looking after me. So I was just out, easy rided, 1 hour 42 minutes, 29.7 miles, 17.5 miles an hour, 1,697 calories, elevation gain, 1,682, training stress score, 119. So for those of you who don't know what TSS is, TSS is training stress score. So for every piece of physical activity you do, measured with heart rate, power, your body is under a certain amount of stress and you get a training stress score. So anything over 100 is like a high level of training stress, or training stress to your body that requires an element of recovery before you go back into training again, and then allows your body to do the adaptations to be able to progress and become fitter. So that, considering I've basically been off the bike all of August and to the 30th of September, that performance was actually quite good, especially considering I've come back from post-viral fatigue and the issues. So we'll just go back on. So everything has to be ramped up carefully. So here we go, 1st of October, rest. Here we had high zone 2, yeah. Gym, an hour and 40. Training stress score for the week, 275, which is, you know, quite moderate. And then look, if you see here, rest, and then boom, 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 boom. And now here, we've got 379 training stress scores, so we're now starting to build it back up. Here, deep tissue massage, and then relatively straightforward week. This was a mountain bike ride, just for fun. So total training stress score for this week is 207. So we'd knocked it down a bit. Now here, boom, boom. So Tuesday, Wednesday, Friday, Sunday, you know, quite a lot going on there. Training stress score 409. All right. So building back up. Yep, up. 386 training stress score. Here we are, November, 216, so that was a taper week. And now, this basically means amber. Green means I've completed the session, the prescribed session by my coach. Amber means I've given it a good go, but I haven't completed the full percentage requirement. So the majority of the times I get an amber or red, it's usually because either I'm feeling tired or I have a time restriction and I need to crack on. So my training stress score was still okay. It was 424 for the week. 258, 237. So that's us here. Here we go. So, and then this is how we go here. So, as you can see, we are actually progressing. Now, I could easily increase these training stress scores. However, it would be detrimental because I am still suffering slightly. So I do seem to be taking a little bit longer to recover than I had done previously before I was unwell. And I do get bouts where I'm feeling tired. So the other tasks I perform that are not cycling related, so basically projects and job, etc. I do seem to be a bit more fatigued after performing these. Before I used to be able to just, yeah, like that's that done, and now go do the next thing, do some training, blah blah blah. But I'm not able to kind of do that quite the same as I did before. So today, for example, is supposed to be a 3-hour session, but I'm actually having a rest today because yesterday I had well, towards the end of this week, I've got a sore throat, I've got a running nose, I've got a head cold, I'm feeling cold. That's not because of the illness I had, that's just because everyone else I've been around, whether it's been at work, outside of work, everyone seems to have the lurgy or cold or illness, so I've basically just caught that, that's all. But because of the illness that I did have, you know, with a head cold you can still go out and train, but I'm feeling quite lethargic, so I'm not going to bother. I'd rather just take the hit and the training stress, take the day off, recover fully 100% and come back, because having another between 5 to 9 weeks off the bike is just, I just can't do that now. I was lucky in one respect when I was unwell. It was pretty much as my season was done anyway. So, you know, a good 16 weeks of this build up back training and I will be good to go again. So, apologies for the room, by the way, because it is a little bit of a mess. This is, even though there's a spare bed in here, as I've said, this is my office, and I do a bit of training here, gym work in here as well. So it's a bit of a mess because there's a few things going on. So I'm getting kitted up. The van, again, I'll put another link in the description. So my Ford Transit Custom van that was converted to a camper van, links in the description, as I said. I'm going to be driving it to Poland for an epic road trip. I'm going to be taking the bike, there's going to be getting some training done, so there's going to be a lot going on, so I'm preparing to do that because I will be doing that in the next 2 weeks, so that'll be awesome. All right. So the other things I've got coming up is, once again, Pedal Power have came to my rescue because I've been without a power meter. So Pedal Power have came to the rescue and kindly helped me out with a set of Garmin Vector 3S pedals. So I'm really looking forward to trying them out. I had the Vector 2S's and they were okay, but they had the pedal pod, and the first set I had was really very good. The pedal pod failed, which I actually think was down to me, to be honest, but Garmin kindly replaced them, and but the replacements I had just didn't seem to work as well. They failed after only 2 months, and then on and so on and so on. I then went to PowerTap, and I know PowerTap's a good company, so I'm not hating, I'm just saying I think I was unlucky, but I ended up with 3 different sets of PowerTap pedals before I then got a final brand new replacement, and I just decided to sell them because I just didn't seem to be having any luck with PowerTap. I do have friends that use PowerTap products and they've never had a single issue, so I think I was just unlucky. But you know, sometimes you can be put off things, and that's it. So I've decided to go back to Garmin. Now I would ideally like a crank-based power meter system, but I don't have the luxury or the budget to be able to have a crank power system on all my bikes and transfer it between them. I need to do things quite quickly and relatively easily, so that's why I've opted for a pedal power based system. However, on my racing road bike I may opt for a crank or chain set based power meter system, just for accuracy and less issues. And the time trial bike, I'll just use the pedal system. Same on my my training bike, as well. So there'll be some videos coming up of the unboxing of the Vector 3S pedals, what I think of them, how easy are they to use, and I'll get them fired on the bike and we'll do some power test runs. Also coming up will be how I need to prepare the van for going across to Europe, driving France, Germany and Poland, because it has to be fitted with winter snow tyres. I need to change the angle of the lights, which you can just do with stickers, and there's some various other modifications I need to do. I need to fit a fire extinguisher, I need to have a high visibility jacket, and kit it up with some decals of GB and Scotland. So I'll get that done and I'll show you what the van is going to look like after it's finished. So thank you very much for watching. This has been just a bit of a talking film, but please like, share, subscribe, and cheers. See you later.